I hope I'm wrong. I don't want there to be children being trafficked.
It's probably the first time where you see like leftists and conservatives coming together to demand accountability from the government. Now, I got a legal demand letter with my name on it a couple days ago saying that we were going to be sued for $1 billion by the First Lady if we didn't retract that and issue a formal apology.
The solidified structure that we're standing on is the Earth, and the Antarctic ice wall is around it.
So what's past the ice wall?
Other civilizations.
Oh, shit. Well, hey guys, what's up? This is Andrew Callaghan from Channel 5. I'm here at Jubilee, and today I'm surrounded by 20 conspiracy theorists.
All right, welcome back to Cursed Conservative. This one should be interesting. We got Jubilee surrounded, but instead of some left versus right kind of stuff, we got a gentleman in the middle here. I'm not too familiar with him, who is trying to debunk all these conspiracy theorists' theories. You know, I've dabbled in it a little bit. Conspiracy theories are fun. There's a conspiracy theory that the CIA actually invented the term conspiracy theory in order to squelch, essentially, any narrative that went against the state. It was just dismissible. It's a conspiracy. Anyway, it's enough blabbing. Let's get into it.
First thing I want to say to you guys is I'm not here to make anybody look or feel stupid at all. I'm not some kind of like expert debunker. I think that every conspiracy theory has some thread of truth to it, so I'm hoping we can find some middle ground and become friends. All right, my first claim is QAnon is a baseless conspiracy theory. There's no evidence of a global cabal of Satan-worshipping, child trafficking elites. They control everything.
All right. I agree with him that QAnon is a conspiracy theory. I think, if I am being totally honest with you, I think a 3-letter agency started that in order to rile up certain people. But I would argue that there are definitely globalists with agendas. So it's kind of weird that he threw those two together. We'll see what they got to say. He put the tin hat on. Big boy moving.
Oh, man. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Oh, his shirt, dude.
Look.
Yeah.
So my issue is with the claim in and of itself, right? The fact that QAnon may be baseless then means that there is no child trafficking ring going on. That's akin to saying that the Easter Bunny is not real. Therefore, there was no conspiracy to hide Biden.
Well, first of
mental
all,
decline.
before we proceed, there's definitely horrible child sex trafficking rings that exist in the U.S. I just think that pedophilia is a pervasive problem among all crests of society. I just think that the rich have an easier time covering it up because they can pay for lawyers and they have money to keep people quiet.
That in and of itself is a conspiracy that you just described.
Well, then I'm a
Conspiracy
conspiracy theorist, I guess. You know, I just don't think it's limited specifically to an unnamed, anonymous class of baby-eating elites.
Well, let's say the NGOs that are unnamed, right? We have humans being trafficked in migrant camps going all across Mexico. Somebody pays for that.
Right.
Whether it's NGOs, whether it's the UN.
Yeah.
We have pedophile rings that we know have been exposed throughout the Catholic Church. It's hard to get more elite than the Vatican. Right. Then you have people that are hiding, obviously, what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. So the idea that because we don't know who the tip of the spear is, or that the cobra hasn't shown its head, means that there's no cabal behind the scenes. Somebody is coordinating this. Now, let me put it this way. I wish that there was as much scrutiny being applied to the evidence that we have and that we've presented than there is to the conspiracy theorists that are presenting the evidence, right? Like, a conspiracy theorist to me is a derogatory claim for people that don't trust establishment narrative, right? But
man, he just echoed what I said at the beginning of this. This dude is killing it. I don't know who you are, sir, but if I find you, I'm going to follow you. Absolutely killing it. Doing better than I could have. Yeah, call it like it is. It's a term that was made up in order to squelch arguments. No. Conspiracy. And I'm super glad he brought up the Epstein angle.
The establishment has done everything they possibly can do to discredit themselves.
And I think that the establishment had a hand in creating QAnon. I think it's the sole biggest driving force in making all...
Careful, Andrew. That sounds like a conspiracy.
I'm just saying, it's like...
Yo, what is going on here? I just said that too. And I'm not trying to say I'm some sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Oracle or nothing like that. But I don't know that this guy's the right guy to be debating conspiracy theorists, because he's already like agreeing on most of the stuff.
If you think about this, right? Like, we know with the Epstein stuff, there were underage sex trafficking rings that existed, right? Now, think about this logical digression from that, and they're eating babies to get adrenochrome so they can be immortal. So think about how different.
I hear you, and that's disproving the existence of one by continuing to. It's what we call searching for the falsehood, right? So something can't be true because 3 steps down the line something is untrue.
I think
that doesn't mean the first thing is true.
Yeah.
We can agree that there are children being trafficked.
Yes.
We can agree that it seems to be some sort of systemic, industrialized component to this child trafficking, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So then somebody has to pay for that. Somebody has to organize that.
Yeah.
Somebody with means, somebody that could be, I don't know, classified as an elite.
Yeah.
And that could be an elite child conspiracy, right? To traffic children.
Could be a cartel middleman with a bunch of money.
And listen, what I would say is this. What people that trust establishment, not that you're one of them.
Yeah.
What I wish that they understood is that we agree with them in that I hope I'm wrong.
Right.
Like, the establishment wants me to be wrong, and I want me to be wrong. I don't want there to be children being trafficked.
Right.
And I don't want our government, our taxpayer dollars having anything to do with it. But I think that a conspiracy theorist used to be called an investigative journalist. Questions.
If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Take a second to like and subscribe, because getting subscribers is hard.
And I think that those questions deserve to be answered. And I think that that's the
Put your
issue.
flags
When
down.
people say, no, there's no list.
Yeah.
Stop asking questions. Move on. Well, then we feel like we should ask some more questions.
Yeah, and I feel like that's got to be less than 10% of the population who says there's no list. Let's move on.
Yeah,
I think right now it's probably the first time where you see like leftists and conservatives coming together to demand accountability from the government.
No doubt about it.
And I think that QAnon was probably a psyop in of itself by Steve Bannon, Miles Kuo, a variety of strange actors that work with the Watkins family and 8chan to basically discredit people from actually putting the target where it should have been, which is
A debunk. I mean, look, you can't pull up your fact checks on the conspiracy episode. What are we doing? Debunk conspiracy theory that Donald Trump was secretly fighting a cable of Satan. Oh man, they took it to the extreme. But I don't get this gentleman's Steve Bannon angle. What would Bannon, who's very articulate, very, very intelligent guy, gain out of promoting QAnon?
right in front of our faces. The richest people in the world, most of them you can look their name up. Not saying there isn't people who are just random rich financiers that are anonymous, but you can look at companies like BlackRock, Vanguard. You can look up online. We all have iPhones, right?
Yeah.
Apple, these major social media platforms have CEOs. The Saudis, the richest people in the world are operating in plain sight. And so I feel like when you aim the target at this unnamed, mysterious cabal of people eating babies in the hills, you're basically creating a thing that doesn't exist to convince people to look in the wrong direction.
Who is doing that, right? Like you said, we can look up the richest people in the world, but we're everyday people.
Yeah.
We have jobs. We have things that we're supposed to be focusing on that are outside the realm of information finding. We don't have the time to go through all of the different NGOs that these people have created to hide themselves from this.
Right.
This is the job of journalists. This is the job of our media. Unfortunately, our media has been captured by these same elites that you're talking about.
Facts.
Not to bring up another conspiracy theory here, right? But this is what used to be the fourth estate, right? We used to be able to trust journalists to get to the bottom of it so that we, the plumber, didn't have to spend our weekends digging through tax files and be like, oh my God, did George Soros really get $270 million from USAID?
Yeah.
That's not what we planned on doing, right? This was your job. And now the conspiracy theory is anybody that doesn't trust the establishment narrative. They have made us distrust our neighbor and trust the government. They have made us look at each other from a veil of the citizen doesn't have privacy, but the government deserves privacy. This is a matter of national security.
Right.
Well, it's a matter of national security that we can't know who was selling children.
Yeah.
Then I think they've answered the question.
I think the Epstein thing is probably like the biggest potential break.
What a bomb that dude, or he hit the nail on the head. I was gonna say a truth bomb, but like, yeah, absolutely. When the government's saying don't look over here, I don't care if it's left or right, you should probably look over there, and he's right. That was the media's job at one point in time, but media started getting paid too. And it does seem like it's one big cabal, a big self-licking ice cream cone to keep each other enriched and keep the crimes hidden. And in fact, I think that these elites get off on doing this in plain sight.
through into dismantling some of those blackmail networks that have kept so much of the media and government compliant. But the thing is, whenever people stop trusting the mainstream narrative, which overall I think is a good thing, it makes way for an entire vacuum.
Real quick, sorry to cut you off. Which is a good thing? Distrusting the mainstream narrative
when people stop trusting the mainstream narrative and do their own research, generally that's a good thing. However, that creates a vacuum where people who are even less reliable can fill the void with different stuff.
But that's okay though, because information is cleansing. Sunlight is cleansing. But the best part about the conspiracy community, and I didn't start as a conspiracy theorist. I'm a guy that trusts the government. USA, baby. But as you pull at these threads, you start realizing the government has lied to us over and over and over again. Yeah.
Good job, man. He came out strong. Good luck, whoever's in second place. If I had to guess, some of these folks are probably not going to be able to articulate their points as well as that gentleman did. Even his shirt was reflecting how Biden all of a sudden overnight got like 20 million more votes than Trump in every single, not 20 million in every swing state, but total, just the line went straight up. You know, and we're told, don't believe your lying eyes. This is just what happens. Oh, she gone.
Hey.
Wow, she's fast.
Thank you.
Andrew, great to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Thanks
Courtney.
for coming. Thanks, Courtney.
I wanted to start saying I think we agreed partway.
Yeah, totally.
I actually think he was totally a psyop. But
Dang.
I think that the part about there not being an elite trafficking cabal who are Satan worshipping, I actually think there's a lot of evidence for that. So in any kind of a psyop, typically there's an element of truth. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right, because otherwise it wouldn't work.
Right.
So have you heard of Project Monarch?
No, can you fill me in?
Sure. So Project Monarch was a subset of MKUltra. You're familiar with MKUltra?
So we're talking about 1960s counterintelligence programs.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Which actually, so the whole term conspiracy theory, right, was kind of weaponized, right? But
MKUltra, COINTELPRO, all true.
Sounds familiar too.
And the term conspiracy theory, I also think like that was weaponized by the CIA.
Absolutely. Once you slap that on somebody, everything they've said is discredited.
Yeah.
Right.
Where do you think that began?
Probably around the 60s and 70s, similar to slapping the label communist on somebody during the McCarthy Red Scare.
McCarthy, yeah. So there was a document, it was 1035-960. It was to counter the Warren Commission.
Courtney did her homework.
Investigating into JFK's assassination. So that's kind of where the CIA they slapped them with the label conspiracy theorist.
Of course.
So, okay, so Project Monarch was a subset of MKUltra. And in MKUltra, you're familiar with, there was we have just the declassified documents, so there's a lot more we don't know.
Yeah.
But we do know that there were horrific things done where they were using trauma-based.
Sorry about them dogs.
So MK Monarch was the subset, and Monarch was where they believed that intergenerational trauma would lead to people who are much more susceptible to being programmed.
So you believe in epigenetics?
I do believe in epigenetics.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So have you heard of Kathy O'Brien? She is a victim of Project Monarch, and she talks about she and her daughter were trafficked. So she's one example. I've actually interviewed over 11, and I know that's a small population.
Yo, Jubilee, what are you doing? Every fact check that you're putting up is like shitting on your guests. They're conspiracy theorists. Let them talk. We don't need you to say there's no evidence. Every single time one of these people, it's only the second person, and it's like this is the most fact checks I've ever seen in a Jubilee video. Like, let them speak. Let the audience come to their own conclusion. Let them do their own research. We don't need Sans fact check to pop up and say, there's no evidence of this. This has been disproven. Like, you're literally doing what we and they are complaining about the government doing.
There are people who've interviewed way more than I have who have been satanic ritually abused. And it was all by politicians, big Hollywood celebrities. And then, of course, we have, like, Epstein. So what would you say about people who have these stories and they all seem to have shared kind of themes, similar people involved with them?
I think that you can find anecdotal evidence of ritual abuse happening in all layers of society. I also think a lot of this stuff's like lifted from Hollywood. Like, for example, Eyes Wide Shut. Everyone has that sort of in the back of their head when they think about satanic ritual abuse. I'm sure that it happens, but I want to differentiate too, because when it comes to Satan worship, I know I probably should know, this might not be the most charitable group when it comes to Satanism, but there's LaVeyan Satanism, and then there's Church of Satan. And Church of Satan is very much like atheists who are doing it to make a point. And then I think the ritualized stuff connects to like pagans and sort of like old wealth worship and stuff. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I mean, I haven't looked into it too much because maybe I'm a victim of kind of writing people off when they start talking about satanic Hollywood Hills baby eating parties. I just always think they read it on someone's Facebook
you can take a narrative really far, which makes it, kind of discredits the whole thing, right? So just because they may say things that are kind of...
Hey, thank you so much.
Hey, good job, Courtney. That's all I got for now. I actually really like the guy in the center. I'm gonna have to do some research on where he comes from. He's a very good communicator. He likes listening. He doesn't cut people off. Jubilee was the one cutting people off this time. Anyway, you made it this far. You're a real one. I'll see you next time.